But there's got to be a bit of an osmosis between the past and the future, which means one has to decide what should not happen again, if it can be avoided. My name is Jean-Thomas Theodore Ungerer, Tommy Ungerer. I have no way of describing myself. I draw, and I've published over 120 books, a lot of children books and erotic books, social satire, all that. How can I describe it? All the things he finds for me, it's absolutely things that actually nobody...
Das gehört noch alles dazu.
Was der Herr mitgebracht, as a guy this morning. Somebody just came this morning and brought things over. I come from Strasbourg. I'm absolutely, totally Alsatian. I don't call myself a German. I don't call myself a Frenchman. I'm Alsatian. We have our own dialect, which is like Old German, and we have the luxury here of being brought up, I mean in the old days anyway, speaking French and German.
Das deutsche Vaterland.
Ein Buch des Stolzes und der Ehre, Book of Pride and Honor.
Über die Periode, wie uns...
Oh la 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 la. Gee, look at that. Yeah.
Warte mal.
Alle Sowjets partout. Je suis partout, Jesus Christ. Look at the typography. Yeah. No, that's the communists are everywhere, you know. But look at the typography of that. Gee, pow, bang.
I'm Lucas Ungerer. I'm 16 years old, and I'm Tommy Ungerer's son.
Oh, that's the liberation. Look at this. That's la libération. Look at Alsace during the war. Look at the Rex. Look at this.
He's an artist and a writer.
Bridgehead.
He grew up right in the middle of the war, and it still interests him a lot. He's quite a big collector, actually collects a lot of old documents, and fascination at the moment is Nazi regalia and documents.
Der Deutsche Reich
Oh, Jesus, nein, das gibt's nicht. Das ist unglaublich. That's incredible. This is Strasbourg in Alsace, and I would say Alsace is, in a way, is an island. It's an island between the French and German Ocean. It's a strong and pronounced concept of identity, because I think identity is a form of defense. Self-defense, of course.
Alsace is a very decent place. It is civilized, pleasant, and artificial all together. And this makes life easy on a day-to-day basis, but this does not obliterate and mask historical truth and subjective emotional feelings.
I used to say that Alsace was like toilets, always occupied, but it's now a province. It's a province within France. But the great problems are the problems of identity, really, knowing who you are.
During the war, Alsace was invaded by the German army. But it was not only the army. The Third Reich declared that we were Germans. We knew that lots of terrible things would happen to us. We knew that we would be put in the German army and would probably die.
If you were not in the Hitler Youth, or if you were not in the parties, it was not like in Germany. But here, if you are not in the party, you wouldn't get food tickets, or you couldn't go to school. I was going to school, and I enjoyed it, because the Nazis had a wonderful school system. These were maybe some of the best years of my life. In the case of fascism, there's an element of brainwashing. If you go to school and every hour is started with a Nazi song, you know them for a lifetime. And then always those slogans, you know, ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer, all the things, the slogans, you cannot get them out of your head. You have to live with it for the rest of your life. I wrote my book about my childhood during the 4 years of Nazi time. I decided to handle it in a personal way, just telling as simply as possible what happened. Of course it was in my head, but I wrote it in 3.5 days, working fast, doing it, pow, dead on. Because I kept all my drawings, I always was drawing everything as a child, you know. I was 12 years old, just like a little reporter. And I just picked up all the things I'd collected already as a child. I was just cutting things out of the papers, you know, which I used for the book. I've been collecting all my life. The Alsatians are collectors, they're manic collectors. And I think it's out of insecurity. I think people collect out of insecurity. And then once this book came out, people started giving me and sending me things, and this collection became really then a collection. It's like a cancer. A collection is like a cancer. It grows on you. You see, it was just like an opening of an abscess or something like this, and it's a matter of demystificating. I mean, history is history, it's there. You cannot say it didn't happen. This is a proof that it happened. Somebody's got to bring it together. Those things are unavailable, unfindable, not shown.
But that's kind of subtle propaganda in itself. By being not allowed, it would make people want to know more about it.
Yeah,
people
exactly.
want to know they want to know what's unknown. Like, by making this hard to get information about, people would try harder to find out about it, wouldn't they?
Well, that's excellent. That's an excellent point. I remember when I was a kid.
It would be a stronger influence.
Exactly. My father had those 2 girly magazines in the back of the books, and I used to sneak to look at them. It's a forbidden fruit. It's a forbidden fruit. So it's quite a dilemma. You know, do you put it in the open and on all that? But it is definite that for young people who just hear hush, 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 and this and how it was in those days and all that, you know, this is a forbidden fruit. This is a forbidden fruit. And that makes it very attractive. This is a basic symbol. There it is. The swastika is the best logo that anybody has conceived, of putting it black on white and red around. There's hypnotic qualities. They were not even able to do it with lucky strikes or anything else. I don't think that anything of this stature had ever been done before. The communists possibly with the hammer and sickle, and there are some Russian revolutionary posters which are quite outstanding. But nothing with a constant repetition, with a constant weight. This book is incredible. When you just look at that, if you want to talk about the fascination of the Third Reich, you have it right here. Because that is everything. That is design, uniform, architecture, discipline, look at those people. But upon looking at a picture like this, I wonder really, what did those guys do if they had to go to a toilet? There's no toilet here. I think maybe this is a toilet here, the big one, and they're all waiting to go to the toilet. You never know. There must be a reason for everything. And this, in terms of architecture, this would be the most splendid toilet I've ever seen. The Alsatians, that say, have a lot in common with the Irish and the Jews. The only way to exercise yourself with the things which were put upon you, all you can do is to crack it up with a joke. We share the same humor. We share the same thing with a double identity, which shows up all the time in my work too. I mean, here is the Alsatian double identity, with a behind for every side. And I'd say especially when you're between two countries like we are, you can compare. Everything French was forbidden. And everything French had to be thrown away. You see here a beret, you know, a beret basque. It was forbidden by jail sentence in Alsace if you are found wearing or owning one of them. When my mother, when we were brought to the Gestapo because we've been caught speaking French, you know, I was terrified. But my mother went into the Gestapo officer and said, "Heil Hitler." So he was already, haha. And he says, "Well, it's reported here that you keep on speaking French." He says, "Yes, Herr Obergruppenführer, and I will keep on speaking French." And you know why? This is how sly the Alsatians are. And you know why? Because after the war, if no German speaks French anymore, who's going to administrate France? And then he stood up, and gave my mother a hand kiss, clicking his boots and saying, "At last I'm meeting a true daughter of the Führer," you know. This is, I mean, you don't have to invent the jokes. The joke of the absurd is right there. That's how you survive. And so when the French came back, but this is then in Alsatian dialect, it's the same thing of getting rid of all the Nazi stuff, you see. There's actually even an equilibrium between the absurdities. Like we suffered greatly under the Nazis, but when the French came back, we were not allowed in school, we were punished for one word of Alsatian. Everything was ripped apart in those days, and it's very rare to find anything in any good condition.
Mais je dirais qu'il est plus facile de trouver ces choses-là en Alsace qu'en Allemagne. Une partie de ces objets sont en rapport direct avec l'Alsace d'ailleurs. En Alsace, beaucoup de choses ont été démontées et tranquillement mis dans le grenier ou la cave, et sont ressorties 2-3 générations après.
Voilà.
Alors qu'en Allemagne, par exemple, ça a été ou détruit systématiquement, ou pillé par les Américains. Je m'appelle Francis Catella, je suis spécialiste en antiquité historique et militaire, et également auteur-éditeur de plusieurs revues sur le thème du militaria collection.
This was really the rest of the aide de camp to the Gauleiter, the guy responsible for the administration of Alsace and the indoctrination. But it looks rather small, ça a l'air plus petit, hein? Comme je disais, either I have grown up or the jacket got smaller. Every class, every hour, started with a Sieg Heil and a Nazi song. Those Nazi songs are absolutely full of energy, full of drive. When I joined the army in France and I was training recruits, the French don't have good marching songs. I taught some Nazi ones, so are much better. So. We sang those Nazi songs enthusiastically, but then at home it was the Marseillaise, you know, this kind of a thing. When you see it in my book, the drawings done for propaganda, schoolwork, and the others done at home. I made a card game here, that's very funny. How you call Schwarze Peter? All made in English. You see, and the black Peter is Hitler, you see. So each time, for instance, you have the French Boy Scout and the Hitler Youth, you see. See the caricatures. Now this is definitely, you can see I did this at home, because it's definitely anti-Nazi. I am holding here the memories of many lives. Those lives that have been sent to me, it doesn't belong to me, it's not going to stay here. The problem is here in Alsace, we've been so marked by these times, you know. I mean, the sadness, the absurdity. Look at this poor boy, I mean, just, this is cannon meat. You see, the Germans had no right to put the Alsatians in the army, and of course they were sent to Russia. And this is why we lost so many more people, because so many didn't come back. When I see that, I think of, if this was my boy. And then on the other hand, you have this, the party official, the SS. Look at this guy, I don't think there's much evil in him. I'm sure he's got 2, 3 children. Look how sad his face. I mean, frankly, look at this face. I feel like crying. And then you have this one, that bastard. You see the contrast? This is so symbolic. When you see that, you have the whole tragedy of this country.